Hi everyone, I'm Bari Lyman. Welcome to our success series about finding true healthy love. Today we're going to talk about an important topic about why is it that we repeat the same patterns? Why is it that we keep doing the same things kind of over and over again, finding ourselves in situations that are not what we want, where we're with people who are not our dream? Why is it that that happens? So this is a question that people ask me all the time, and I have to say I used to find myself in these situations all the time for many years. So in spite of being self-aware and smart and having worked on myself, can you relate? Have you worked on yourself for years and you're clear about what you don't want? You know what you don't want. So you know what you don't want, yet you keep meeting low quality people. So let's define a pattern. Let's just start out with. So pattern is something that you keep doing over and over again, even though you don't want to. So maybe you are on the dating sites and you're frustrated with them, you hate them, and if you meet someone good, they don't end up turning out. They turn out to be emotionally unavailable, or they ghost. Or maybe you're just not dating at all. And then you find yourself for years, many years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, not dating because, it's not inspiring and you keep meeting people that you don't want to meet, right? So can you relate to that? So if you take a look at it objectively and look at your relationship history, you're going to see a pattern. So my pattern was that I dated emotionally unavailable people, narcissists. They looked good at first, and it was always very exciting. And the first one turned out to be a closet heroin addict. And what's interesting about me and my pattern is all the people at first, they looked good. They were charming, they were handsome, successful. But at the end of the day, I always ended up feeling a certain way in those relationships. I felt like there was something wrong with me. So that's my pattern. And I did so many things over the years to try and solve this problem, to escape this pattern. But at the end of the day, I just continued attracting wrong people. And it was uncanny. If there were 100 guys in the room, I would always be attracted to people that were emotionally unavailable to me. So I didn't really, one of the problems that I faced, and I'm sure that you may face too, is that I didn't know anything about how to find healthy love and intimacy. So because I didn't know, I winged it. So winged it really meant that I kept literally magnetizing people who were wrong for me. And some of people say, oh, my picker was off. But really, is your picker off? At the end of the day, it's something different. Why do we do it? Why do we do it when we're well-intentioned, we want something else? So the reason that we attract people who are not what we want and that we continue in a pattern is we have to look at objectively with a new lens. We need to take a look at where that is coming from. What is that mechanism? If literally, no matter what city you're in, what state, what country, that you're having the same experience over many, many years, what is it? So the place to look is the past. We need to look in the past, because what's really happening, the reason we are stuck in the same pattern is that the past is dictating our present. So that's what some people call baggage, right? I call it not having the inner space for love to thrive, because something is causing you to be in a certain reality, a reality that you don't really want. You want to be in a reality where you're loved and cherished and you feel celebrated, and you're with someone who has your back, and it's beautiful, and you want the same things, and you share values. Such a beautiful thing, healthy love and intimacy. But why can't we have it? We can't have it because we've been stuck in a paradigm from the past. So what does that mean? What does it mean we're stuck in the past? It means that there are things that have happened to us, like traumas, like our parents, the experiences we had with our parents, and the modeling that they provided for us. Like, what was their marriage like? What was their relationship like? What did we see? How did they parent us? Now, you may be 30, 40, 50, or 60, and you may think that this doesn't apply to you, but I ask you to have an open mind because it applies to all of us. It really does. So what's happening is, if your parents were, I don't know, maybe your mom was critical, or maybe you felt she didn't understand you, or maybe you felt like she loved your sibling more than she loves you, or maybe your parents got divorced, or they fought all the time. Whatever it is, that past, even though you think that it's been handled, if you're not finding healthy love and intimacy, and you're still stuck where you don't want to be, then it's likely that you are stuck repeating the past. And we all do it. We all do it. So the past creates some fear or certain feelings. So if your mother, for example, was critical, you may feel unworthy. Now, I know you're probably saying, no, I know I'm worthy, but I don't mean you know you're intellectually worthy. I mean there's a part of you that emotionally is stuck in the past and doesn't feel worthy. And you can't fix it by meditating on it. Oh, I'm lovable, I'm lovable, I'm lovable. You can't do that. It doesn't work. It also doesn't work to analyze the past in therapy for all those years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, however long you've been working in therapy. Because therapy, you've heard me say this many times, is a beautiful thing because you have someone validating you, helping you to unwind the past and understand it. And then what happens is you understand it and you feel better about yourself. But the problem is it doesn't change anything because it's more here and you understand it, and maybe you're good with your parents now, but that doesn't solve the problem. How do I know? Because if you're still single and repeating your patterns, it's not handled. You know it's handled when you've reached the goal. So therapy, as great as it is not a solution because it's not future focused. It's not a step-by-step solution to a problem that is from a long time ago, and therapy is not goal-oriented. It's not success-oriented. A therapist isn't trained in that skill set. That's not what they do. Even behavioral therapy is not a step-by-step plan to get future focused, teaching you how to create and how to date to find the right person. So it's a piece of the puzzle. So I don't want you to think I'm saying therapy is not good. It's all good. Same with matchmakers and outsourcing. Often you invest in a matchmaker, but the matchmaker can't help you because if you have these walls up that are causing you to repeat patterns, you don't know yourself, and therefore the matchmaker can't possibly know you. So let's go back to the if mom was critical example. So if your mom was critical and you may have a story that I'm not good enough or I'm not worthy, then the universe, the reality you're experiencing is you're attracting people who are a mirror to that, and people who make you feel like you're not worthy. So that is how it works. And then when you look at your patterns, like, what has it been? Were you in a long marriage with someone emotionally shut down to you? Were you dating for years and years, and all the people you meet are low quality, is what you call them, and you think that your city is no good and you need to move to another city? You see, all of these things are not the real problem. They're not the cause of the problem. They're symptoms of the problem. The real problem is that you are actually recreating the past. You're recreating the past. So when you keep attracting these wrong people, on some level, it is familiar. It's familiar, right? Mom was critical. You're attracting people who are then critical of you or emotionally unavailable because you have walls up that you don't want to be hurt. So it's a vicious cycle of you attracting the familiar. And just rest assured that you're not alone. You're not alone. And recognizing your patterns and saying, oh, I can see this pattern. But knowing the pattern is not enough. I knew my patterns. I knew that I was attracting in and inviting in wrong people. But knowing it is just the first step. The next step is choosing to not be in that pattern anymore and shifting it to become the most important way a person is who finds healthy love and intimacy. And that way is to become vulnerable. Vulnerable. Now, how does it feel when I say the word vulnerable? Some people get really scared. They get afraid. And if you notice that you shut down, or you notice fear or anxiety about vulnerability, then you can see it. That fear and vulnerability is not allowing you to be authentic in yourself and vulnerable to yourself, with yourself. So it keeps you in the past, in the pattern. So what we want to do is have you become real and vulnerable to yourself, vulnerable to the right people, and doing so allows you to speak your truth and know your truth and get past the shame that many of us feel from the past, from the traumas, from being bullied or made fun of, or losing a parent early, or being part of watching a divorce, watching your parents get divorced, or them not being affectionate with you, or not really seeing you. So when you look at the pattern, you can see that repetition, and often we're with someone and then we feel like, oh, but I love them. But do you really know what true love is? Many of us confuse love with chemical attraction because we're getting something met. There's someone exciting, someone good looking next to us, and they're giving us attention, and we think that's love. And I'm telling you, that's not love. That's chemical attraction. And chemical attraction is not the foundation for intimacy. Now, don't be confused. The right person for you, you'll be very attracted to them, but it'll be based on something real. And so, with that said, you want to become vulnerable. You also want to stop repelling healthy love, because healthy love is out there. There's someone for you. There's someone for everyone. But when we're stuck in the past paradigm that hasn't been handled, and we're walking around looking good and going to events and being very successful at work, but no one to come home to, that's a problem that we can change, that you can shift by getting future focused. Future focus, leaving the past behind. It doesn't matter if your mom was critical, but certain things need to really happen for you to internalize it. You can't just say, okay, just because my mom was critical, I'm fine. No, because if it were that simple, we wouldn't be repeating patterns. And the patterns we're repeating is recreating the familiar. Sometimes we'll meet someone, we think it's great, we're in love, it's so awesome, we're seeing fireworks, and you feel like, oh my God, I've known you my whole life. Wow. And you really have known them your whole life because it's your parents, it's your mother or your father. And this is something that really needs to shift. And I'm laughing about it because I see this shifting happening every day. People start out so stuck, And then in just a few weeks, they find themselves in a new paradigm because of this practical, reality-based shifting that we do together. Because I don't know anyone who could solve a problem like that alone. We can't solve that problem alone because we're too close to our own experience to be able to shift for ourselves. You may have heard me talk about this, like you can't read a label from inside the jar. And it's true. It's true. So we need to have a new lens and a new perspective about ourselves and about our situations. And then when we're future focused, you're separate from the past. You're separate from analyzing it. You're actually free. And when you're future focused and you really know what you need, not this repetition of the same thing over and over again, but instead you get to have something totally new, totally amazing, based on a dream. Because when you're future focused and you know where you're going, what do you think happens? Right, you get to create it. It's like having a GPS to the right person. Because now, on all levels, energetically and physically and spiritually and all of it, you're inviting in the right people because your vibration is right. Now, it's not just about vibration and being integrated. That's a big part of it, of course. But in our society, law of attraction, that idea is just thrown around. So is self-help, so is self-love. But it's not that simple. A plan without a strategic, a vision, a goal, without a strategic plan to accomplish it is also just a dream. So can you see why the 5 shifts are so important? About having the right foundation, about not repelling love, about getting future focused, and then becoming an empowered dater. And becoming an empowered dater is pretty fun. It's pretty amazing because as an empowered dater, you know what you're doing. You have the words. You have a plan. You know how to end a date with clarity. You know how to find out right away if someone is on board with you, if someone shares your vision, if someone shares your values, if there's someone who sees the world like you do, who shares your worldview. It's really powerful when you have that. So powerful. So now back to repeating patterns. Can you see now why getting future focused and taking these steps will allow you to stop repeating the patterns? And the good news is the patterns that you're in, you're the problem. You're the root cause of the repeating of the patterns. I guarantee you, it's not the dating sites. Because of your patterns, because of your vibration and your stuckness, right, you're attracting these wrong people. So moving won't do it. And as I mentioned, therapy is not going to do it. It's not the solution to this problem. The solution to this problem is really creating a new plan, is to follow the 5 shifts. Because it's so beautiful to be able to step out of the past, create a vision that's based on your truth, and then execute on it knowing there are no low quality people. There are people that don't match your vision. There are people who don't want what you want. There are people who are not open. There are people who are different attachment style. That doesn't make them low quality. That makes them not right for you. So if you want to find out the steps and what is getting in your way, why you're specifically repeating your patterns, then we can do that. Then we can jump on a strategy call and make that happen. And if you want to learn more about the 5 shifts that I'm talking about, watch the training. I created a masterclass. It's 45 minutes, and it goes even in more depth than what we're talking about here. So my message to you is, you don't have to ditch your patterns. You don't have to do it anymore. But what you do have to do is say, I don't want those patterns anymore, and not complain about them. Complaining about them, going to friends who can't help you, analyzing your past in therapy, and worst of all, say, I'm working on myself. You don't need to work on yourself. You're already perfect the way you are. What needs to happen is we need to remove those barriers to intimacy within you so that you're not repelling love and that you could authentically become integrated and be you and show up instead of faking it till you make it and just wishing and hoping and saying, oh, it's not in the cards for me and I'm just giving up on love. It's not for me. It happens for other people, but God forgot me, or I'm just going to focus on work. Don't just focus on work. Life is not made up of only working. Life is made up of, a whole extraordinary life of love and intimacy, of having someone to hold you. And it's great to be alone, but it's greater, it's much better to have a real partner. So while you're single, great, enjoy it. But know that you can create a real plan and step into that plan on top of the proper healthy mindset to find your true love. Because I promise you that true love is in the cards for you. Patterns can absolutely be broken. Again, you're creating the pattern. You're the reason for these patterns. It's in the past. You don't have to be reliving the past over and over and over again. Even if you think you're not, if you're stuck in a pattern, you are. And if you're avoiding intimacy, it's the same thing. So I invite you to take it on. Take it on. Don't wait. People tell me I broke up with someone and I'm mourning and I'm mourning. What are you mourning about? It's over. It was not the right person. Being in mourning won't change that. Being in the proper mindset will allow you to move forward. So if you want to learn more about the 5 shifts, go to www.meettomarry.com/real-love, register, watch the training, and then if it resonates, let's jump on a call if you're motivated and you really want to make it happen. So that's it for me, guys. If you have a question about anything, send it to me, to Bari@meettomarry.com, or you can PM me. I answer every question. And every week, we do another episode of True Healthy Love and how to make it happen. So we'll put the links below, and know that I am cheering for you. I am rooting for you, and thousands have come before you, and know that you don't need to settle and, God forbid, compromise or anything like that. That healthy love is waiting for you right now. Okay, so I'll see you next week. Send your questions, post your comments below, and have a good one.